Hello there, very good evening. Welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlene Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Thiruni Karunaratna. Here are tonight's top stories. Supreme Court rules the President as the Finance Minister and Chairman of the Election Commission at the time and its members infringed upon fundamental rights by failing to conduct the local government elections. Supreme Court orders the poll to be held as soon as possible. No regrets about not holding the local government elections, says President Ranil Wickremesinghe. SJB explains on how to renegotiate with the IMF. Party defectors are not welcome. SLPP secretary explains the party's stance. Who caused the fertilizer crisis? Divided SLPP MPs raise allegations against each other. Dr. Nalinda responds to parliamentarian Madhura's allegations regarding the NPP Tri-Forces Collective.
ඕනම වෙලාවක මෙන්න මේ එළියේ ඉන්න ශ්‍රාමික හමුදා සේනාංගය එකතු වෙලා අර හමුදාවේ කට්ටියත් එක්ක දණ්ඩ සක්‍රිය වෙන්න අයත් එක්ක යම්කිසි අනතුරක් රටට කිරීමේ අවදානමක් තියෙන ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂලා හමුදා කඳවුරු ඇතුළට ගිහිල්ලා කැම්පේන් කළා. අද ඒ හමුදාව සහ පොලිසිය විශේෂකාර්ය බලකාය ඒ අය මේ ඇත්ත තේරුම් අරගෙන අද ජාතික ජනබලවේගයත් එක්ක විශේෂ විශ්‍රාමකය වැඩ කරනකොට ආන්න මధుරලා බොරු බීතියක් හදන්න පටන් ගන්නවා.
Starting off with your top story tonight, the Supreme Court determined that the President, while acting in his capacity of the Minister of Finance, had violated the fundamental rights of the general public by arbitrarily and illegally failing to hold the local government elections in 2023.
Delivering the judgment on the fundamental rights petitions, the Supreme Court held that the chairman and the members of the Election Commission at the time had also violated the fundamental rights of the general public. The petitions on fundamental rights violations were filed by Ranjit Madhuma Bandara of the Samagi Janabalavegaya, Dr. Harini Amarasuriya and Sunil Handunetti of the National People's Power, Rohana Hettiarachchi from the People's Action for Free and Fair Elections and the Centre for Policy Alternative. The Attorney General, Chairman and members of the National Election Commission at the time, the Secretary of the Ministry of Finance, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and the Cabinet of Ministers, the Government Printer, the Inspector General of Police were among those named as respondents in the petitions. The matter was taken up before a 5-judge bench comprising of Chief Justice Jayanta Jayasuriya and Justices Vijit Malalgoda, Murdu Fernando, Gamini Amarasekara and Yasantha Kodagoda, and the hearings into the matter concluded on the 6th of July. In a landmark decision, the Supreme Court unanimously held that the failure to hold the local government elections in 2023 constituted a violation of fundamental rights. The court acknowledged the severe economic crisis faced by the country, which was cited by the respondents as a reason for not providing funds for the elections, did not absolve the state of its responsibility to uphold fundamental rights. The court criticized the arbitrary nature of the decision-making process, particularly the failure to prioritize the funding of elections. According to the judgment, the President, who was also the Finance Minister, had not sufficiently informed the Cabinet about the results of imposing budgetary limitations. The court held that the Election Commission failed to properly plan and manage the election process, and the Commission did not exercise its powers to issue necessary directions to secure the cooperation of other state agencies. Rejecting all the preliminary objections raised by the respondents, the Supreme Court held that the partisan acts and omissions of the President, who is also the Minister of Finance, resulted in the infringement of fundamental rights guaranteed to the citizens under Article 12(1) and 14(1) of the Constitution. The Election Commission was directed by the Supreme Court to schedule the local government elections at the earliest possible date. The Supreme Court also ordered the state to pay costs of 150,000 rupees each to all the petitioners. Nimal Punchiheva was the chairman of the Election Commission at the time that the local government election was postponed, while SB Divaratna, MM Mohammed, KPP Patirana and PSM Charles were members of the commission. President's Counsel Upulja Surya appeared for the Samagi Janabala Vegia, while President's Counsel Nigel Hatch appeared for the National People's Power. President's Counsel Viran Korea appeared for the Centre for Policy Alternatives, while Attorney Astika Devendra appeared for PAFREL. Additional Solicitor General Nerine Pulle appeared for the Attorney General's Department, while President's Counsel Salia Peiris appeared for the Chairman and members of the Election Commission.
We will be informing the Election Commission on how to proceed with regard to this judgment when we get the full judgment. The Commission will decide on how to proceed with regard to future course of this election. The judgment that the Supreme Court delivers strengthens the Election Commission. The judgment states that the Election Commission must at all times take all necessary steps to fulfill their duties. This judgment will be important when we prepare the legal framework. This judgment will be very important for the present Commission and any future independent commissions to better fulfill their responsibilities. It was for the first time in history that a judgment was delivered by the Supreme Court that a sitting president had violated the constitution of the country. The current president is bound to abide by the constitution. Because the constitution is the supreme law, the Supreme Court has delivered a judgment saying that he has intentionally violated the supreme law of the country. The current president has, through his actions, violated the constitution. We requested for the Independent Election Commission to be given advice and orders on how to conduct elections in the future. Today that was fulfilled. This is a historic decision. We see this as a clear message to all political parties and political leaders who attempt to use loopholes in the constitution according to their whims and fancies. Therefore, this judgment has clearly indicated that no future election can be unnecessarily postponed in the future.
පාලකයන්ට අවශ්‍ය විදිහට කල් දාන්නට වෙනස් කරන්නට තියෙන ඉඩකඩ මේ අධිකරණ නියෝගය හරහා පැහැදිලිව ප්‍රකාශ වෙලා තිබෙනවා. ජනාධිපතිතුමා දැනගන්න.
The president knew that he was going to lose the election and therefore he did not release the funds for the election. Remember that he sabotaged the election. He influenced the government printer. He influenced the election commission. He threatened members of the election commission. He got thugs to make phone calls to them. The president acted in a manner that would allow for an election to be held in the country. But the Supreme Court today has defeated all of that. The president who crept through a loophole in the constitution within his short time has violated the constitution over 10 times. Ranil Wickremesinghe is the leader who has violated the constitution the most.
The judgment also states that the president had not informed the cabinet about the repercussions of postponing the local government election. That point in the judgment is very important. That means the executive president, as the Minister of Finance, had issued these orders without first informing the cabinet properly about the possible results of postponing the election. We can say that the dream of Ranil Wickremesinghe to become president will come to an end with this judgment.
The parliament should impeach Ranil Wickremesinghe for violating the constitution. Ranil Wickremesinghe swept under the carpet the local government election across the entire country.
Sri Lanka Sri Lanka decides.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe says he does not regret not holding the local government elections. The president expressed these views while attending the National Convention of the New People's Front.
The National Convention of the New People's Front was held at the National Youth Services Council in Maharagama today, chaired by President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The leader of the party, Sugishwara Bandara, and several others were also in attendance.
මේ අමාරුවෙන් ආවේ මේ රට බාරගත්තද්දී මේ රටේ දලදේශීය නිෂ්පාදනයේ ඩොලර් බිලියන 89න් 76කට වැටලා තිබුණා.
This was a difficult journey. When I took over this country, the GDP had fallen to 76 from $89 billion. Why is there relief today? We made rapid progress and brought it back up to $84 billion. We did this in 2 years. In other countries, it took 5 to 10 years. Because we treated it regardless of the allegations, we are now cured. What would happen if myself or the cabinet didn't do this? What would happen if we stopped all of this and held the local government elections? That's all I ask. You decide. It takes 3 weeks to submit nominations after an election is declared, and 2 more months for the election to be held. That is 2.5 months. Even before that, people are running around to get nominations. Can you run a government? If we lost 2.5 months, will we be at 84 billion today? That's all I have to ask. During those crucial months, we held talks with the IMF and other countries. I was able to go overseas to meet them to fix this. I only have one question. If I held the local government elections, would this economy have recovered? Every month, week, a day and hour was crucial. People praise us. If we hadn't done that, this would have collapsed. What did the opposition do? They filed a lawsuit. You could have sought a Supreme Court declaration in 2022 for the economy to return to normalcy. It wouldn't happen. So I have no regrets about postponing this. The presidential and general elections in this country can't be postponed. It is the right of the people. I respected the right to vote, and I also respected the people's right to life. Can you live without gas? Can you live without medicine? Can you live without fuel? I protected the fundamental right.
ඒ මූලික අයිතිවාසිකම, right to life. ඒක මම ආරක්ෂා කරා.
අපිට ඕන අභියෝග හැමේ පලායන නායකයෙක්ද? නෑ.
Do we want a leader who runs away from challenges? No. We need a leader who can accept challenges, a leader who can manage the international community, a leader who can bring more tourists, a leader who can strengthen the dollar reserve, a leader who can turn around a negative economy, a leader who can reduce inflation. Anurukumara Disanayaka or Sajid Premadasa are not such leaders. Or Namal, who hid in vehicles during the Aragalaya, only Ranil Wickremesinghe is such a leader.
Ranil Wickremesinghe මැතිතුමාට පමණයි.
Presidential candidate of the National People's Power, Anurukumara Disanayaka, says that under a government led by him, a monthly allowance of over 10,000 rupees will be provided to those who are struggling with access to food, education and healthcare.
The Bandaragama rally of the National People's Power was held this evening under the theme Pohosat Ratak Lassana Jeevitayak, which loosely translates to a prosperous country, a good life. It was chaired by Anurukumara Disanayaka.
පියවරෙන් පියවර රට ඉදිරියට ගෙන යනවා. එතෙක් ජනතාව ආණ්ඩුව විසින් බලා ගන්න. නිසා ආහාර නැති, අධ්‍යාපනය ගන්න බැරි, සෞඛ්‍ය නැති පුරවැසියන්ට අපි තීන්දුව කරලා තියෙනවා. මාසෙකට රුපියල් 10,000කට වඩා වැඩි දීමනාවක් ලබා දෙන්න. කවදා වෙනකන්ද? රට හදලා ඒගොල්ලන්ට ප්‍රතිලාභ එනකන්.
We will take the country forward step by step. Until then, the government will take care of the people. So we have decided to provide a monthly allowance of over 10,000 rupees to those who are struggling to access food, education and healthcare. It will be provided until the country is developed and the people benefit. People question how the NPP has funds for this. Our program is not only to build the country, but also to provide for the people till we receive the benefits from that development. We can find funds for that. The value of overdue taxes is 1.1 trillion. What has happened? While taxing the people, they haven't charged taxes from their friends. A NPP government will be able to provide further concessions when those taxes are collected. What is the cost to maintain these presidents and ministers? Under NPP government, such wastages will be halted, saving more funds for the treasury. Ministers are provided with official residencies, fuel allowances, 7 to 8 vehicles, and their utility bills are covered. Who is footing the bill? The government. They not only embezzle funds from the treasury but also squander them. A NPP government will put an end to this theft and wastage and collect inland revenue taxes. Custom duty is pocketed and it should be stopped. Although it may be difficult for anyone to find the funds, the NPP government has a program to gather funds to provide concessions for the people.
කස්ටම් එකට එන්න බදු හොරපාරවලින් ගෙවල් වලට යනවා ඒව නතර කරන්න ඕන ඒ නිසා කාට සල්ලි හොයාගන්න අමාරු වුණත් ජාතික ජනබලවේගයේ ආණ්ඩුවකට මේ ජනතාවට ලබා දී හැකි සහන සඳහා මුදල් හොයා ගැනීමේ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් එක්කම තමයි ජාතික ජනබලවේගයේ ආණ්ඩුව ඇවිල්ලා තිබෙන්නේ
Those who once demanded action on the Vilpathu issue and called for the law to be enforced, and the one who is responsible for the issue, are now on one stage, urging people to vote for their candidate to make them the leader of the country. What a shameless act! If you want to see political leaders with no shame, come to Sri Lanka. But you won't find such drama on the NPP stage. Today, true principled politics seems like a distant dream. If you seek genuine leadership, we invite you to join us. The doors are open.
A rally organized by the Samagi Janabalavegya was held in Moratua today. The rally was led by SJB presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa.
Sri Lanka Vamadirian Sarasin Magerata Balagan Manaka Sarasin Giunu Yalikandan Naka Sarasin Samakia Balagan Vaniti Sarasin Sri Lanka Vamadirian Sarasin
Sajith Premadasa Mattumada Sajith Premadasa Mattumada Sajith Premadasa Mattumada
අද අපිට පේනවා ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම අන්ඩ්‍ර කුමාර නම් හැමදාම පරදින්න හරි ජනාධිපතිවරණට ඉල්ලනවා. නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ පරපුර රැකගන්න රාජපක්ෂ පවුලේ දේශපාලනය රැකගන්න
Anura Kumara is contesting the presidential election even if he might lose. Namal Rajapaksa is running to protect the Rajapaksa family's political interests. But why is Ranil Wickremesinghe contesting? He lost in 1999 and 2005. He did not contest in 2010 because he was likely to lose. Instead, he fielded Sarath Fonseca. In 2015, knowing he was likely to lose and piggybacked on him. In 2019, he negotiated to secure the Prime Minister position because he anticipated losing the election. This time, why is he contesting if he expects to lose? He is aiming to gather 500,000 votes to defeat Sajith Premadasa. We want to make it clear that we will defeat Namal, Ranil and Anura.
ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමාව පරද්දන්න හිතාගෙන තමයි අය ඉල්ලන්නේ. අපි රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා කියනවා නාමල්වයි අනුරවයි රනිල්වයි තුන්දෙනාම එකට දීලා අපි පරද්දනවා කියන එක මම කියන්න ඕන.
අද දවසේ අපි ගත්තු තීන්දුව නිවැරදි කියන එක ඔප්පු වෙලා තිබෙනවා. මූලික අයිතිය ජනාධිපතිවරයා මුදල් ඇමතිවරයා හැටියට කඩ කරයි කියන එක විනිසුරුවරුන් පස් දෙනෙකුගෙන්
It was proven today that our decision was correct. The President, in his role as Finance Minister, has violated fundamental rights. A 5-judge bench has issued a verdict. Wasn't our decision right? How can we violate the supreme law of the country? Those who have abandoned the people, turned our land into a place of deals and destroyed the people's welfare must be held accountable. You only have a few days left. The 22 million people are waiting for a day when we will decide the future of the country, a government that will prioritize the people of this nation. We are committed to providing such a government. I would like to make it clear that those who have deprived the people of their right to vote will answer for their actions before the legal system.
ඔබගේ ජන ජීවිත ශක්තිමත් කරන යුගයක් ඒ යුගයේ බිහි කරන්නට අපි අනිවාර්යෙන්ම කැපවෙනවාමයි කියන එක මේ අවස්ථාවේ කියන්න කැමතියි. මම පැහැදිලිව කියන්න කැමතියි. මේ ජනතාවගේ ඡන්ද අයිතිය නැති කරන්නට කටයුතු කරපු සීලුම දෙනාට අනාගතයේදී අධිකරණයේ හමුවේ තව දුරටත් උත්තර බඳින්න සිද්ධ වෙනවයි කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ කියන්න කැමතියි.
A public rally organized to support independent presidential candidate Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca was held in Thissa Maharama today.
The rally was held centered on the theme of supporting an independent leader who can build the country for the presidential race.
The people of this country expressed discontent with all 225 in the parliament. As one of the 225, I have heard the call from the youth, who questioned why I remain in a political party if I truly wish to support the Aragalaya. Today I have become non-partisan in response to their voices. So I urge the youth of the Aragalaya to join hands with me. Let's achieve the purpose of the Aragalaya together. I hope this party would make real progress by committing to the country's future. However, it seems there is no difference between this party and others. The party leader has stated that the salon door is open to anyone, which suggests that the honor and respect we expected is not valued by him. Talathathu Korala left the party because Sajith Premadasa brings thieves and wrongdoers into the party. I still remain in the party because I am dedicated to our party supporters and will continue to support them to the best of my ability. I value all my supporters and will never lose that. I'm not a miracle maker. I can't promise to make this a Singapore or America, but I am dedicated to building a country where everyone can thrive within 2 years to make a positive change.
Certain details about controversial incidents that took place in the past are coming to the limelight. Now, this is mainly because those who were once colleagues from the same party, politicians, political leaders in the country who were colleagues from the same party, have now split and are supporting opposing factions. While supporting opposing factions, they are making allegations against each other, and while the allegations are being made, several details of these controversial incidents are being brought to the limelight. Now, the fertilizer ban is one such incident. The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, which was in power at the time, has split, and members of the SLPP who are supporting opposing factions now are making various revelations about this incident.
Who placed the farmers in jeopardy by banning chemical fertilizer? D. Veera Singha and Tissa Kuttiarachchi accused MPs S.M. Chandrasena and Mahindananda Alutgamage, who now support Ranil Wickremesinghe while remaining in the same party as them, at presidential candidate Namal Rajapaksa's maiden rally in Anuradhapura yesterday.
How did S.M. Chandrasena, who stole millions of rupees to make organic fertilizers by removing slit from lakes, burning tires and mixing ashes, and failed to stand up for farmers in the past, sympathize with the farmers today? We didn't initiate the organic fertilizer program. It was presidential candidate Namal Rajapaksa's uncle. That is the reason we had to leave as well. We repeatedly asked him not to do it, as it is wrong. The people of Rajarata and farmers across the country faced various unfortunate situations for 3 seasons and were severely burdened. We asked the people what we must do for this election. The people said they will not vote for the party that wasn't able to provide fertilizer and to make a decision. We were forced by the people to reach the necessary decisions.
දැන් රනිල් මාත්‍යාගේ ළඟ තමයි ඉන්නේ හොඳම බඩු ටික. කාබනික පොර ගේනකොට කෘෂිකර්ම ඇමති කවුද? මහින්දානන්ද අලුත්ගමගේ කෘෂිකර්ම ඇමති.
Who was the agriculture minister when organic fertilizer was introduced? It was Mahindananda Alutgamage. It is his dummy that was burnt. Mahindananda is with Ranil today. Who was the minister who threw a clay pot during the COVID outbreak? It was Pavitra Devi Vanniyarachchi. She is also with Ranil. Who is she with now? The pot now? The pot is also with Ranil. They call them thieves, crooks and extortionists. Now it is as if they were flushed and are now clean. This fertilizer crisis is not my project. Gotabaya Rajapaksa was behind the fertilizer crisis. I submitted a cabinet paper that day to import chemical fertilizer. After rejecting my cabinet paper, it was Gotabaya Rajapaksa who presented the cabinet paper banning chemical fertilizers and introducing organic fertilizers. I opposed it within the cabinet at that time. He called me inside and said I shouldn't interfere as it was not my subject. He said organic fertilizer falls under Shashindra Rajapaksa's purview. Although I was the minister, fertilizer fell under the purview of a different minister through a gazette. The organic fertilizer was imported through former minister Shashindra Rajapaksa's ministry. But it's my habit to protect the leader. I spoke up for the decision reached by Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Who is Tissa Kuttiarachchi? Does he deserve a response?
General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna said that they are not ready to reunite with those who left the party.
මේ දැන් අපි දැක්ක ඔබතුමාලාගෙන් ගියපු අයට දැඩි චෝදනා එල්ල කරන් නම් ගම් කියලාම එතුමන්ලා ආයිත් පොට්ටුවට ගන්න නැද්ද කියන්නේ
නැහැ ඉතින් එතුමන්ලා අපි ආයි ගන්නෙ නැහැ අපිට වෙන දෙවන පෙළක් එකතු වෙලා ඉන්නවා ශක්තිමත් දෙවන පෙළක් එතකොට අපි ඒ දෙවන පෙළ අපිට ඔප්පු කරලා පෙන්නලා තියෙනවා අතෑරලා ගියාය නැති වුණාට උන්ට මේ ඊට වැඩිය ශක්තිමත්ව ඊට වැඩිය හොඳින් කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා ඒක තමයි අපිට අවශ්‍ය වෙලා තිබුණු දේ
ඒ කියන්නේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහතා සැලුන් දොර වහලා ඊයෙන් පස්සේ
එතුමා පැහැදිලිව කිව්වනේ ජනතාවට එපා නම් මම ඒ සැලුන් දොර වහනවා කියලා
Thalatha Athukorala, who announced her resignation from Parliament yesterday, has been invited to join the United National Party convention to be held on Sunday. Now, this was revealed by UNP Chairman Vajra Bewardhana at a media briefing today.
I believe Thalatha
Athukorala, through her speech, conveyed Sajith Premadas's experiences, maturity, decisions to be taken, and the path that should be taken in the future. It is a very important message. She is an Iron Woman on that team. She made many important statements. It is a very important message to all politicians who are split according to parties. Her statement mentioned that we should put what happened behind us and realign ourselves onto the right path. She has been invited to our party convention on the 25th of August. We will see what happens after that.
Strengthening the people, fighting for the truth, leading a nation, forging the future. Newsfirst, with the people.
For a rich country, Rata Anurata, Jatika Jana Balavegaya. Dawa Pintaru Vedamulu Maha Pradarshaniya. NVQ සහතිකලාභී වෘත්තීය පින්තාරු ශිල්පියෙක් ශිල්පිනියක් වීමට ඔබ අදම එක්වන්න. විස්තර හා ව්‍යාපදිංචි වීමට අමතන්න 0777 6040. ජැට් පින්තාරු අභිමාන දේශීය දව පින්තාරු කරන්නේ උන්නතිය උදෙසා. For a rich country, රට අනුරට ජාතික ජන බලවේගය.
Welcome back to the news. Parliamentarian Madhura Vithanage, convening a media briefing today, expressed concern that retired senior military officers of the Tri-Forces affiliated with the National People's Power and the personnel who served under them while they were on active duty pose a potential threat. Responding to this statement, NPP Executive Committee member Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa said that a certain group of people fear the fact that people who love the country rally around the National People's Power.
රටේ ඉදිරි අනාගතය ඉතාමත් බලවත් අනතුරකට හෙළන බවක් අපිට පේනවා. මේ වෙලාවේ සමාජ මාධ්‍යවල අපේ හිතවත් ගොඩක් අයගේ මේ වෙලාවේ එක එක දේශපාලන ව්‍යාපාරවලට සම්බන්ධ අය ඉන්නවා තමයි කමෙන්ට්ස් දාන. ඒතර ඒගොල්ලන්
We can see a major future potential threat to our country. There are many people who support us through comments on social media. Such people end up receiving very menacing threats as personal messages. Such a massive threat seems to be making its rounds on social media these days. Among such individuals are generals and other high-ranking officials of the Tri-Forces. They have colleagues who are actively serving in the Tri-Forces, friends of junior or senior ranks. There is a possibility of these two groups joining forces and posing a serious threat to the country. This needs to be investigated. Be very careful around retired military personnel in your area who are affiliated with the NPP or the JVP.
යම්කිසි අනතුරක් රටට කිරීමේ අවදානමක් තියෙනවා. මේවා හොයලා බලන්න. ඔබගේ ගම්වල ඉන්න මෙන්න මේ විශ්‍රාමික හමුදා ඒකකයට සම්බන්ධ ඒ විශ්‍රාමික හමුදා සංවිධානයට සම්බන්ධ ජාතික ජනබලවේගී ජනතා විමුක්ති පෙරමුණේ අය එක්ක මේ වෙලාවේ බොහොම විමසිලිමත් ඉන්න එකක් කියන එකත් මම මේ වෙලාවේ මතක් කරනවා.
මధుර විතානගේ කියලා තියෙනවා September
Madhur Vithanage has said that Anrukumara Disanayake emerging victorious on the 21st of September poses a threat to their lives. He says they are afraid. Shall we first giving a big round of applause for accurately predicting the election result?
මధුරයට අප්පුඩියක් 21 ප්‍රතිඵලය කිව්වට. හරි. දැන් මේ කතාවට සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන තියෙන්නේ කවුද? මේ ජාතික ජනබලවේගය විශාල වශයෙන් මේ රටේ විශ්‍රාමික ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදාවේ කට්ටිය එකතු කරගෙන යනවා. පොලිසිය කට්ටිය එකතු කරගෙන යනවා. මේ මෙහෙම එකතු වෙනකොට
Madhur Vithanage has said that Anrukumara Disanayake emerging victorious on the 21st of September poses a threat to their lives. He says they are afraid. Shall we first giving a big round of applause for accurately predicting the election result? Now, who has been linked to this claim? The NPP works actively with retired Tri-Force personnel of this country. This has led to those who are actively serving the Tri-Forces to also side with the NPP. That is true. He is trying to paint them as traitors and conspirators who are determined to jeopardize peace in the country. General Nishanka Vijayasinghe, after the war ended, what did they refer to you as in 2010? General Nishanka Vijayasinghe, after the war ended, what did they refer to you as in 2010 and 2015? They called the police, STF and Triforce the guardian angels of the nation. That's what they called war veterans. But did they call you that because they loved you? No, they always fooled the people of the country. They used the trust the people had in you to benefit politically. We saw Gotabaya Rajapaksa carry out his political campaigns inside army camps. But now they are trying to create a false fear in you and all those who rallied around the NPP. On the 22nd of September, you will see a record-breaking result. This will mark the most peaceful election and post-election period this country has ever seen. The people of the country will hand over the country to our comrade Anura Kumara Dissanayake. The country will be handed over to Anura to ensure everyone's security. To protect peace in the country, Anura Kumara will ensure the safety of those who didn't vote for us, spoke up against us and uploaded fake posts on social media. Therefore, Madura, you do not have to be afraid. Nothing will happen to you on the 22nd.
තමයි අනුර කුමාර දිසානායක ජනාධිපති වෙන්නේ. ඒක නිසා මధుර ඒවට බය වෙන්න එපා. 22 මොකක්වත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe has commented on claims made on renegotiating the program with the International Monetary Fund. He expressed these views during the Construction Professionals Convention in Colombo yesterday.
Anura and your Golea Sajid, they are going to renegotiate with IMF if by any chance they become to president. So what are the repercussions if they are going to renegotiate with IMF that our country will face?
Liquidate your company, that's all. So you need the economy. We have come to an agreement with the IMF, ADB, World Bank, the Export-Import Bank of China, and 17 countries. And this is the framework we've discussed. Now with that we are discussing with the sovereign bond holders. So they've given us benchmarks. Now what are they going to renegotiate? Are they renegotiating the benchmarks? Or are they, what else are they going to renegotiate? Are they going to renegotiate the time span? Or are they going to renegotiate the benchmark? Now it took us over 1 year at a height to get this through. Now how are they going to negotiate with all these countries which will no longer be there? China negotiates separately from the Paris Club. And there were people like India and other countries. We were able to get them into 2 groups. That is, India and all joined the Paris Club. China came separately, but China, we organized in such a way that China also worked together, coordinated with the OCC, OCC coordinated with China. That's the mechanism we have put together. Now that mechanism is gone, because it's no longer necessary. We have negotiated, we have put that down, it's up for us to perform. And they have put down the relief they can give. The type of relief China is going, Exim Bank is giving us is different from the type of relief that will be given by the OCC. Then if we go to the sovereign bondholders, that's a different one. In some we are getting, we really will get a space in eliminating or reducing the interest payment. In some, spacing out the time of repayment. Now, in other words, if you put all together, you come with Achcharu because there's so much put in different places. Now, are they going to do it again? Who is going to do it? Sunil Handunnetti or Harsha De Silva? Good luck to you all.
Dr. Harsha De Silva pointed out that the SJB's entire plan is based on a digital public infrastructure platform.
Can be realistic. The rich need not be given subsidies. Those who deserve must get subsidies. It is an objective of our government to make that happen. Now, if we talk about subsidies, and I said, if you're rich, you don't need, but if you deserve, you must get. How do you then allocate this? How do you find the rich person and the not so rich person and give that person a subsidy and the other person not? It is not that complicated. It happens in countries that are actually moving ahead using technology. Our entire plan is based on a digital public infrastructure platform. We will create a Sri Lanka stack, and that Lanka stack will have aggregators that can do all kinds of creative services once the unique identification is provided. So we have to reform. And Honorable Sajid Premadasan, we had a meeting, long discussion with the folks at the IMF. We said, look, we want to amend this agreement. A lot of people are asking, what do you mean, Harsha? What do you mean, Ella? How can you amend this thing? You can't do it. If you do it, the whole thing will collapse. We will have petrol queues. We will have no current. Don't be irresponsible. No, we are not being irresponsible. We are being responsible.
The cabinet has decided to provide subsidies to fisherfolk, tea planters and farmers in Sri Lanka.
It has been decided to provide a fuel subsidy to the fisheries community of the country. Accordingly, a subsidy of 25 rupees will be provided for each litre of diesel and kerosene for a period of 6 months. The cabinet has also granted approval to provide a fertilizer subsidy of 4,000 rupees to tea planters. Farmers will receive a 15,000 rupee financial subsidy per hectare for the Maha season. The subsidy will also be applicable for paddy and other crops cultivated in the 2024 and 2025 Maha season. Meanwhile, the Presidential Media Division announced this evening that the Cabinet has approved a basic salary increase from 24% to 50% for all government sector employees from January next year.
The decision to award certain aspects of the operation to issue visas to a foreign company has given rise to controversy again. 3 parliamentarians who are members of the Committee on Public Finance convened a media briefing and made revelations regarding this incident, while the Controller General of Immigration and Emigration had also made a clarification.
The cabinet decision that approved the awarding of several aspects of the operations to issue visas to a foreign company has been stayed by way of an interim order from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court in their order had directed that visas to be issued under the old system. MPs Patali Champika Ranawaka, Rauf Hakim and M.A. Sumandiran, who are members of the Committee on Public Finance, had filed the petitions at the Supreme Court. Convening a media briefing today, they said that despite the interim orders from the Supreme Court, visas are still not being issued under the old system.
Many stakeholders in the tourism industry has been for the past 2 weeks complaining about the Department of Immigration and the Ministry of Law and Order deliberately delaying implementing the court order, the interim order, which is to be effective until the final hearing of the case. It is the matter is still pending before court. There has been certain motions filed to appraise court about the stalemate that continues. So therefore, it is now for us to explain that the excuse that has been given is a very puerile and deliberate attempt to sabotage the ultimate effect of the interim order, and thereby causing serious reputation loss for the country, serious loss of probable tourism arrivals for the next winter season. Tourism industry stakeholders are all worried that there are going to be heavy cancellations because of the attitude of the ministry and the immigration department, because they are the Mobitel Private Limited, which is part of the SLT Telecom, who are also respondents in this case, have also been ordered to assist in this smooth transition, and they have already written 2 letters to the immigration department saying they are ready to come and restore the earlier system because they are the front end. But they want the back end, which is being operated by the immigration department through Informatics Limited, to facilitate this smooth transition, because now they are trying to allege that new visa categories have been introduced by a gazette in November 2023, and those new visa categories have not been part of the earlier platform, and therefore reverting to the earlier platform doesn't comply with the gazette. And since trying to restore all those new category of visas, there have been some new subcategories of visas which is going to take months to be included into the platform. But this is only a very wrong and false and deliberate attempt to delay in complying with the court directive. So what I am trying to explain is that there are 14 new categories. The earlier categories, residence visas, visit visas, transit visas and permanent resident visas were being part of the Mobitel platform, and there I must say, part of the Mobitel system. So for them, try to allege and say that these new visa categories cannot be issued through this platform, that is also wrong.
මේ VFS ආයතනයට කීයක් යනවද මේකෙන්? මේ දීලා තියෙන කොටස් වලින් කීයක් යනවද? දැන් මේකේ තියෙනවා සේවා ගාස්තුවක්, service fee.
How much is allocated for the company VFS? There is a service fee here and a convenience fee. Out of the $25.77 that is being charged from every tourist, how much is being paid to the company VFS? Because VFS is providing a similar service in Brazil and they are providing that service for less than $4. Why is $25.77 being charged here in Sri Lanka? Who is getting the remaining money? The $100.77 that is paid by tourists when they arrive in the country is being transferred to an account in Dubai. It is only a week later that the $75 due to the Department of Immigration and Immigration comes to the account of the department. They can invest that money until then. Who owns that account? Where is money going through that account? We made representations in court that the ministry has not made any assessment regarding these institutions and their background. The most important thing is that we can see that the government right down from the president are acting arbitrarily without complying with the orders of the Supreme Court. We hope to highlight these matters during the pending court proceedings.
අධිපතිවරයාගේ ඉඳන් අපට පේන්න තියෙනවා මේ පිළිබඳව ඉදිරි කාලයේදී අපි මේ නඩු විභාග වලදී අපි මේ කරුණු පෙන්වා දෙන්නට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Meanwhile, the Controller General of Immigration and Immigration, Harsha Lokpitia, said that a motion has been filed through the Attorney General seeking for clarifications regarding the order issued by the Supreme Court. He said that the laws that were followed when visas were issued has been amended now. He said that visas should be issued under the new laws now. The Controller General of Immigration and Immigration said that if visas are to be issued under the old system, the laws in place have to be amended. Pointing out that he does not have the power to make those changes, he said that a motion was filed in the Supreme Court to clarify these matters. The United People's Party, led by Minister of Public Security Tiran Alas, convened a media briefing and responded to Partili Champika Ranawaka.
අපේ පක්ෂ නායකතුමා ප්‍රමුඛ මේ ආණ්ඩුවට මඩගැසීමට පහුගිය කාලේ මේ පාටලි චම්පික රණවක මහත්මයා කටයුතු කරමින් සිටියා. එතුමා
Lately, MP Partili Champika Ranawaka has been working to slander the government, including our party leader. He tried his best to create a massive public opinion regarding the activities of Tiran Alas, the decision reached by that ministry and against the president. But in the end, Partili Champika Ranawaka has become a backbencher of the SJB and observe what happens. Partili Champika Ranawaka's action to slander the government based on Tiran Alas has failed.
මහත්මයා මුල් කරගෙන ආණ්ඩුවට මඩගැසීමට ගත්ත ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය ලක්තැනම ලොප් වෙලා තියෙනවා පාටලි චම්පික රණවක මහත්මයාගේ.
For a rich country, රට අනුරට ජාතික ජන බලවේගය.
Shut the Crown Grand Finale.
Mayuran SC space number 6 and send it to 7788.
அன்பென்ற ஒற்றை சொல்லை போலொன்று வேறு இல்லை, நீ காட்டும் பாசத்திற்கு தெய்வங்கள் ஈடு இல்லை. இல்லை என் நெஞ்சம் உன்னை மட்டும் கடிகாரம் உள்ளாய் சுற்றும் நொடி நேரம் நீ பிரிந்தால் மாடி உயிரே போகும் நீ சொன்னார் எதையும் செய்வேன் தலையாட்டும் பொம்மையாவே செத்தாலும் புதைத்தாலும் செடியாக முளைத்தாலும் என் வாசம் உனக்கல்லவா
Shakti Crown Grand Finale.
Akash Mathan, SC space number 12 and send it to 7788.
Welcome back to the news. Sri Lanka's central bank governor received a top grade in the Global Finance Report.
Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, has been honoured in Global Finance's 2024 Central Banker Report Cards, achieving a top grade of A. The Central Bank said that this recognition reflects the Governor's exceptional leadership and strategic expertise in navigating our nation's economy through challenging times. The Central Bank added that the A grade highlights the Governor's success in key areas such as inflation management, economic growth, currency stability and interest rate control. It went on to note that awarded annually to central bank governors around the world, this accolade underscores the governor's remarkable performance and commitment to economic stability. Global Finance magazine has released the names of central bank governors who earned the highest grades A+, A or A- in the Central Banker Report Cards 2024.
Sri Lanka's dollar bonds have been hit by election worries and debt restructuring delays.
Sri Lanka's dollar bonds are drifting lower on investor concern that the completion of a debt restructuring agreement with creditors could be pushed back by next month's presidential election. The country's dollar bonds due in 2030 traded below 55 cents on the dollar on Wednesday, down from 59 cents in mid-June. This month, Sri Lanka has the worst performing emerging market debt following Lebanon, according to indexes compiled by Bloomberg. The Asian island nation of 22 million will vote in a presidential election on the 21st of September, as incumbent Ranil Wickremesinghe seeks a mandate for his fiscal reforms as Sri Lanka seeks to shore up its economy after default in 2022. The IMF is vetting the restructuring deal to ensure it fits into the debt parameters of its $3 billion loan to the country. There is much unclarity about the debt deal amid concern over whether it treats all creditors fairly, especially as bilateral lenders are often reluctant to make their borrowing details public. The deal with private bondholders envisaged a 28% nominal reduction on the bond's principal and the issuance of the so-called macro-linked bonds, whose payouts are linked to economic growth.
Sri Lanka today welcomed a third U.S. Navy destroyer in a week.
USS Stockdale of the United States Navy arrived at the port of Colombo on a replenishment visit today. The USS Stockdale is the third U.S. Navy ship to dock in Colombo this week. USS Stockdale, an Arleigh-Burke-class destroyer stretching 155.3 meters in length, is operated by a crew of 332 personnel. Following the completion of replenishments, she is scheduled to depart the island on the 23rd of August. USS O'Kane of the United States Navy arrived at the port of Colombo on a replenishment visit on Wednesday. USS O'Kane, an Arleigh-Burke-class destroyer stretching 154 meters in length, is operated by a crew of 328 personnel. The ship is under the command of Commander Richard Ray. Following the completion of replenishments, she departed the island on Thursday. Earlier this week, USS Prudence of the United States Navy arrived at the port of Colombo on a replenishment visit. USS Prudence, an Arleigh-Burke-class destroyer stretching 160 meters in length, is operated by a crew of 338 personnel. The ship is under the command of Commander Thomas Adams. Following the completion of replenishments, she departed the island on the 20th of August.
A comprehensive United Nations report released today underscores a dire human rights situation in Sri Lanka, revealing a pattern of serious abuses that have persisted despite international scrutiny. The report, conducted by UN Human Rights Council UNHRC, provides an in-depth analysis of the current human rights conditions in the country, marking a critical juncture for international intervention and local reforms. The document, officially known as AHRC/57/19 Situation of Human Rights in Sri Lanka, details a range of troubling practices, including extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, and arbitrary detention. These findings come amidst ongoing concerns about the government's commitment to human rights and reconciliation efforts following the long-standing civil conflict that ended in the year 2009. The report cites multiple instances of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances carried out by security forces. These incidents predominantly affect ethnic minorities and political dissidents, raising alarms about targeted violence and lack of accountability, according to the report. The UNHRC report criticizes the Sri Lankan judicial system for its inefficiency in addressing human rights violations. Corruption and political interference have been cited as significant barriers to justice, preventing victims and their families from obtaining redress. The report highlights severe restrictions on freedoms of the press and the suppression of dissent. Journalists, activists, and civil society organizations have faced harassment and intimidation, creating a climate of fear and stifling public discourse, according to the report.
Meanwhile, day 56 of the third phase of the LOLC Divisavya program, which is being carried out for the betterment of Sri Lanka's future generation, got underway today.
Today's program was centered around the schools in the Galle district. Under the Divisavya program, exercise books and stationery equipment required for a year are distributed free of charge to government schools with less than 150 students. Accordingly, school bags and stationery equipment were donated this morning to the students of the Madavala Vijay Vidyalaya, Galkeminava Tilaka Kanishta Vidyalaya, Sri Dhammasara Viratana Saubhagya Primary Vidyalaya and Yasodhara Sangamita Primary Vidyalaya. Exercise books and stationery equipment were also donated to the students of Alpitia and Ambalangura zonal education offices. The LOLC Divisavya program continues to forge ahead for the future generations of Sri Lanka.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.